What's up, guys? So it's been a couple weeks since I've made anything for the YouTube, but I've been moving, I've been finishing grad school, I had a birthday, and I'm getting ready for a trip for Europe. This is my first trip to Europe specifically, only my second time out of the country. I went to the country of Nicaragua multiple times in middle school to do some missions work. But other than that, I've never been out of the United States. And this is also going to be the longest time that I have ever spent away from home. I'm going to try over the next couple of days to film how I'm preparing, both just to share, but also for me to look back on and maybe learn some things from my process this time. I thought it might be fun to start from the very beginning and just share a little bit about this entire process of how I got from the idea of my trip all the way to the actual trip itself. I started by feeling like a great way to celebrate finishing grad school and turning 32 would be to take my first ever trip to Europe. I did that by telling people in the fall that I was going before I had really made any concrete plans. The only thing I had was a passport at that point, which I hadn't used in almost 20 years. And that really worked in some peer pressure, which was really helpful. The next thing that I did that was super helpful was a friend of mine got me hooked up with an Amex Gold card. And I had never really done any rewards cards before, but the Amex Gold card was something that I used for several months and ended up getting a huge bonus in terms of points, which allowed me to pay for my entire overseas flight to and from London. Then I got a Hilton rewards card and used that for a couple of months and was able to get the bonus on that as well, which allowed me to pay for 7 of the nights that I will be staying. I'm staying with a friend of a friend the first couple of nights, and then about 4 nights in Airbnbs. But the rest are hotels, and they're all paid for by the rewards points. So I'm super grateful for those travel rewards credits. Once I booked my flight overseas and back, and once I booked my hotels using all of those credit card rewards points, I then spent weeks doing a ton of research. There are some people who travel and like to just figure it out as they go. I'm the kind of person who, once I get where I'm going, I really would rather not have to think anymore. So I spend a ton of time before I go researching as much as possible, coming up with lots of lists. I tend to not make detailed itineraries as much as I kind of like to give myself a smorgasbord of options. And then I kind of just pick each day a general idea of what I'm doing. But in order to do that, I have to know what I have to work with. So I spent months researching what to do in Florence, what to do in Cinque Terre, what to do in Lake Como, what to do in Barcelona, and what to do in London. All of the places that I'm going to be visiting in the weeks to come. I used Reddit, I used travel blogs, I used YouTube, and I created long lists, really tried to pick up on themes, places and restaurants and things to do that came up and over again. I'm not really a touristy person. There are a lot of tourist attractions that I could care less about seeing. I will be doing a few because they came up as things that are worth the hype. And then there are a lot of things that I'm gonna skip. For instance, I'm going straight through Pisa and driving right past the Tower of Pisa. Not gonna do that this time. After I had done most of my research, I started to build my day-by-day itinerary. Again, I like to plan basically one main event a day, whether that's a show or a museum or a park or kind of like a day trip outside of whatever major city I'm in. And then I work off of my restaurant list and try to pick restaurants and coffee shops in and around that. and then I kind of just fill in from there. That allows me a lot of flexibility, and it allows me to know that I'm not going to have to be doing a lot of traveling across the city back and forth, because for me that feels more exhausting, and I get a lot more time to just enjoy whatever part of town I'm in. The other thing that I've been doing, which has been really helpful, I hope, is I'm learning Italian. So I think I've mentioned this in previous videos, but I have been using the Pimsleur app for over a year and a half. Last year, I used it to really just brush up and get a lot better at Spanish. And I thought it might be fun to learn some Italian. And I'm still learning it every single day, all the way up until I set foot in Florence. I'm probably going to still be practicing it when I'm in London next week, but it has really kind of gotten me excited and felt like even on the days when I don't have time to do any trip planning, I'm still getting ready for my trip, which I'm really excited about. I'm not going to be demonstrating today, but maybe in my post-trip video I will. For today, that's going to be it. I still have a couple of days left, and I'm gonna make another part of this video as I'm packing to show you some of what I've bought for my trip and some of what I'm packing, how I'm packing, etc. So more on that here shortly. All right, so my trip is in 2 days, and I am starting the process of packing. It's going to take me some time, I think, and I'm trying not to rush through it because I just want to make sure I'm taking everything. In the process of getting ready for this trip, there have been a few things that I have purchased, including packing cubes. I've done a lot of research about trying to do long trips out of one bag, and packing cubes have been something that has been a theme. So I am going to try and use them and see what I think. Another thing that I've purchased is a lot of new clothes. It's going to be quite hot in Italy specifically while I'm there. So I've bought several linen shirts, a pair of linen pants, a pair of new chinos for some of my more fancy restaurants and other places like that. I also bought new shoes that kind of double as looking a little more sleek while also being very walkable. And I also bought new socks, because I'm usually a crew sock kind of person, and apparently that's not a thing in Europe. In addition, I bought a brand new suitcase. Like I said earlier, I've never been away from home for this long and didn't want to have a rolling suitcase, so I bought a new Osprey travel pack, and we'll see how it goes. I really didn't want to check a bag, and so I tried to find a solid bag that would allow me to use it as a carry-on. What I like about this bag too is that it comes with a personal item size bag that I plan to use as my day pack as I kind of explore throughout each city that I'm in, so that I can leave my other bag in the hotel or the B&B wherever I am. So tomorrow I'm gonna load up my bag, and hopefully everything I'm taking fits. I'm trying not to pack super heavy. I'm trying to be pretty intentional about what I take. So, see you tomorrow. All right, hello everyone. We are one more day until I leave. Haven't even started packing yet, so I'm gonna do that now. I've got my bag, and I went and bought some more packing cubes because I felt like the 2 that I had earlier were not going to be enough. So I am going to get started, and I'm just going to show you kind of what I've got going. All right, I'm here at my friend Maddie's condo. It's right over there. And they have agreed to let me leave my car in their parking lot so that I don't have to pay for 16 days of airport parking. So I drove all the way down to Atlanta. I'm usually kind of like a get to the gate at the very last minute kind of person. Figured that for this trip, probably not the best. So I am gonna get there very early and am actually gonna be editing this video. So yeah, final few thoughts. I've decided that I'm gonna stay off social media almost the entire time unless I'm in an airport and or maybe a long train ride. I'll just do a quick photo dump. But for the most part, I'm just gonna try to enjoy the city as much as possible. I am gonna take a lot of pictures. I've brought 4 disposable cameras and also just a lot of phone pictures because I'm gonna make like a coffee table book of my trip with like journal entries and pictures and all that kind of stuff, which I'm really excited about when I get back. I will, of course, do some kind of post-trip video, but for now, I'm signing out and I will check back in a couple of weeks. See you later.